The Destroyer was one of the archetypes that came up during my transmission on the new moon in Gemini. And that's what is, according to that transmission, evolving us in this next lunar phase. And I just wanted to talk about what has been transpiring in my life and how this archetype is actually destroying certain parts of me, but are allowing myself to rebirth. And I'm sure a lot of people are feeling this energy where we're in a state of transitioning. And that destroyer is partly making way for a new beginning, a new clean slate, a rebirth of our souls, our bodies, our minds. And so, in my particular um, life, it started even before the new moon, maybe a week or so before. But throughout this entire week, I've been heavily emotional, almost too emotional, you could say, in a way where certain things have triggered me into crying and just reflection on a very deep level, kind of out of nowhere in a way. And what these emotions are actually highlighting for me is that whatever cycle these emotions are tied into are over. So these emotions are telling me that they're coming up again for me to observe them so that I can close out that cycle which triggers these emotions. And they're really all over the place in terms of my life, but most specifically like finances, fulfillment, love, just a little bit here and there. And what it is doing, for example, I'll give you finances. I was feeling very blocked financially, or just kind of, I'm not in the place where I would want to be, or I envisioned myself to be. And so there were a lot of negative thoughts that came up that made me feel inferior, that made me feel like a loser, that made me feel like I am not doing anything, like I am not good enough. Um, and so these thoughts kept recurring in my mind. And I've become very aware of my thoughts. And I know that these thoughts are just lies from my ego, but I also felt them very deeply, like emotionally, and they came up very intensely for me to actually grieve this part of my identity. Because that's really what is happening here. It's just micro, you could say, ego deaths that are happening, at least in my experience of it. It's where I'm shedding this old version of myself, but this beautiful version of myself is actually emerging and kind of taking over the space, because not only have I been able to transition this energy really quickly into a better, healthier ego and a better, healthier mindset, but I'm also seeing like specific results in the physical pretty quickly that are giving me excitement and momentum, and that are inspiring me. And so I say this all to say is that anything that is coming up right now and in the next month or so, emotionally or just in general, I've also noticed a lot of like old habits resurfacing, a lot of old mental loops, a lot of different loops are coming up. um, the universe is just telling you to close out that cycle. Like, you were done a few months ago, you were done with that cycle. Let's close it out completely, let's move on and embody the new cycle. um, it almost feels like it's kind of like a little test period. It's like, have you learned to actually close out these old habits, these old ways of living? And are you actually going to keep moving forward and live in the new life that is actually here now? Because the new life is actually here now. We are in our manifestations already. We are in the our desires already. We just have to embody those desires. It's not like it's coming. It's actually here now. And so that's how the destroyer is working in our lives right now, to kind of fine tune us and destroy all the remnants of our old lives in order for us to truly step into embodiment of this new persona, this new version of ourselves that is going to emerge, I want to say, more powerfully, um, if that's a word, especially coming up with the solstice. Like, we're going to get a lot of deep energy to embody and to really shine in a way that we haven't before. And on a note, since I'm talking about this transmission, you can find it on my YouTube. It's the Dibson Transmission, is what the channel is called on YouTube. And I'm doing transmissions based on moon cycles. And I'll also be doing a transmission based on the solstice coming up, and also different situational transmissions whenever I get guided to do them.